story of my high-risk pregnancy. Not many people knew. My family definitely did not know, except for my mom and my sister. Marco's side of the family did not know, except for his parents, his brother and sister. So we definitely kept it a secret, and not to be secretive about it necessarily, but I don't know, I didn't want to bring that feeling of possibly something very wrong happening into the room when I would walk in. Like, I feel like people would kind of treat me different. I mean, once I got pregnant, it was like, are you hungry? Do you need this? Do you need that? Have a seat, you know, put your feet up. And I didn't want to add to that. So that was my reason for not wanting to tell people. And also, I didn't want them to focus on the possibility that something can go very wrong. I feel like that was hard enough for me to handle, and I didn't want to put those kind of thoughts into anyone else's head, especially like my grandma and like Marco's grandma, just people like that. So we did have people that we told, our pastors, my mom, his mom, like I said, and it was just to get a little bit of support, a little bit of backup, and to get prayers. We're really strong in our beliefs, and we just felt really strongly that we needed to get other people in the same agreement of prayer with us. That helped a lot. I only cried for like one day, and then after that I was like, okay, God's gonna take care of this. I'm good. So for like the first 4 months or so, I want to say 4, maybe 5, I was bleeding a lot, and my doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong. She took me, because I used to work out a lot, the good days. So she took me off the weights. I couldn't run, I couldn't even speed walk, and there was something else she took me out of. Oh, biking. I wasn't allowed to bike, but like there was no change. I had my anatomy appointment by that time that we tried to figure out what it was. It was time for my anatomy ultrasound. So she let the ultrasound technician know to look for anything that might cause the bleeding, like my placenta, anything like that. So we went to the anatomy appointment, and there was no cause for bleeding. So the placenta was where it should be, the baby was where it should be, everything was fine. There was no reason for me to be bleeding. So she kind of just told me to relax about it, stop stressing. After a while, it just stopped on its own. It completely stopped, and we never found out the reason why I was bleeding. But what got me into the high-risk pregnancy title was a week after my anatomy appointment, my doctor called me in, or my doctor called me, and she said, you know, there was something abnormal about your ultrasound. It's nothing to worry about, but we did find a cyst. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, yeah, there's a cyst on the spleen, and that's how she said it, a cyst on the spleen. So I'm going to send you to a specialist to get it checked out. So don't ask me why, because I mean, the ultrasound was the baby's anatomy ultrasound, but for some reason it came to my head that she was talking about me, that I had a cyst on my spleen. So I don't know why I assumed she was talking about me. But I was like, okay, you know, I mean, I'm not in pain, I don't feel anything. So I didn't worry about it. I was just like, okay, whatever. My iron pill alarm. So I was like, okay, whatever, you know, not a big deal. So we waited for the specialist appointment. That was about like, I think it took like another 2 weeks to see him. I go in there, and the nurse, everyone's really nice, but she asks me, like, kind of confused, like, so you have a cyst on the spleen, or the baby has a cyst on the spleen? And I was like, well, don't I have it? And she goes, I think it's you, because I've never heard of a cyst on a baby's spleen before. So I was like, yeah, so then it's me. Well, we get prepped for the ultrasound, And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna check out the baby first, kind of take measurements, and then we'll take a look at the cyst. I'm like, okay. Lo and behold, after she takes the measurements, she also checks his spleen. There's a cyst on his spleen, and I guess they have never seen one before, not in the position that it was in. So she was shocked, but I think she was trying to hide it so that I wouldn't get scared. And she was just like wow, that really is a cyst on the baby's spleen. She then called the doctor, and the doctor was just as amazed as she was, and she kept repeating how in 30+ years she's never heard of a cyst on the baby's spleen before. And the doctor was just kind of shocked as well. Even more even more nurses came in to see the ultrasound, because they all claimed they had never seen one, have never heard of a cyst grow on a spleen before. So at this point, I'm kind of like I hear them, it's coming into one ear and kind of just going out the other. It was just really hard to register what they were saying and to actually get that this wasn't a normal cyst or wasn't a normal situation. So at first I didn't panic, it didn't really hit me. And I mean, also because throughout the whole ultrasound, my baby's like smiling. If you go to my banner, there's a picture where he's looking straight at you and flashing this big old smile. So of course, to me, it's not registering that this is not a good thing. The doctor then did go into detail about how dangerous this could be. So he said that the best case scenario was that the cyst would just go away on its own, and like it never happened. Worst case scenario, it could, I don't know the correct term, if it can pop, but he used the word explode. He said it could explode, and because of the placement, right on the spleen next to his heart and lungs, it can cause major damage, and I could potentially lose him. So even if it didn't explode and it just grew, it can still cause major damage. It would just like push into his lungs, or push his lungs into his heart, or push on his heart, like depending how it grew. It can cause scary stuff to happen, such as him not being able to breathe right, or his heart not being able to pump blood as strong, or skipping a beat. Anything like that was a possibility. So the bottom line was that I can lose my baby. So after that bomb, he gave me the mid-case scenario, which would be the cyst would not grow, and it would just kind of stay the same. And then it would be up to me to decide whether I would want them to perform surgery right after birth to remove it, just so I didn't risk having it grow later on in life. Just because of the placement. Like, I know a lot of people live with cysts now, and the only thing that made this so dangerous and scary, and where they hit me with I was considered a high-risk pregnancy, was because of the placement. Just because it was on the spleen, next to his heart, near his lungs, it changed the game. When he told me everything, I kind of felt like it hit me, but I don't think it really did until I told people. Like, until I told my husband everything, and until I told my mom, and then I explained it to my mother and my father-in-law. So after repeating what the doctor told me, I think that's when I registered, okay, this is what's wrong. This is what could happen. And then it just all became very real and very scary. So I don't know, maybe that's why I didn't tell a lot of people as well. Just because every time I did tell someone, it made it that much more real and that much more scary. But like I said, we're very strong in our faith. And of course, after my moment of weakness that I can lose my baby, I felt just like my heart and just God telling me, you know, I'm here for you. Relax. I got this. Let me take care of it. Stop freaking out. So eventually I went on like I had a normal pregnancy. But of course, at every doctor's appointment, I would be asking her, is it gone? Is it smaller? Tell me what's going on. So then we got orders to move over here in Okinawa, and I saw the specialist here, and that's where she gave me the news that I was no longer a high-risk pregnancy because there was absolutely no sign of any cyst anywhere. Hallelujah. I was so excited. I didn't even hear or register what else she told me, because I remember it was that same appointment where she told me that the baby was breech. But I was so happy about the cyst being gone that I was like, nothing else can go wrong. Everything is gonna fix itself. We were just so happy. Later, my doctor confirmed it, and I mean, I almost started crying. My eyes teared up, and I was just like even though I knew we would be okay, of course, being human, I had my little doubts. So it just to have those doubts washed away, I was just like, you know, wow, like, thank you, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything is normal. It is as it should be. I am now 37 weeks, and the baby is head down. His heart rate is at 150. She also said I'm beginning to open up. So we'll see how long it takes for baby Adrian to decide when he wants to come out. So yeah, that was my high-risk pregnancy story. I was considered high risk for about half of my pregnancy, but it's just crazy how it reinforces your faith. And I wasn't planning on saying all these things, but you just have to give him glory where glory is due. Like, I didn't want our religion to come into my YouTube channel. I didn't feel like there was a place for it. But, you know, when you live it, it's just hard not to keep it out of every aspect of your life. So yeah, that's my high-risk pregnancy story. And thank you guys for checking it out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. And hopefully my next pregnancy video will be me telling you guys that I am in labor. But for my next week's video, I will be doing the husband tag. I am determined to get him to do it with me. So keep an eye out for that video, and I'll see you next week.